so much for joining us for another edition of the Bloody Legends with Jai, that Aussie metal guy, and Jim Taylor, brought to you by crank.com. Make sure you're a bloody legend and hit that like and subscribe.
G'day, how you going? We are ready for another exciting interview with the Bloody Legends presented by crank.com with myself and my partner in crime, Jim Taylor. Today we have the honor of speaking with the legendary almighty Chuck Billy, the powerhouse vocalist of the iconic thrash metal band Testament, with a career spanning well over 3 decades now. Chuck has been a driving force in the metal scene, contributing to Testament's success with his distinctive voice and dynamic stage presence. From their debut album, The Legacy, to their latest release, Chuck has been at the forefront of thrash metal, inspiring countless fans and musicians alike. So we get to have a chat with Chuck, not only about the Australian tour, but all things to do with Testament. Cheers, mate.
Holy shit, what an intro. Damn.
Sure.
Yeah, look at that one.
Call me a
That
professional.
That was man.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Mean those words, man. You've been an absolute inspiration, not only to me, but to countless musicians, as I said. But Jim Taylor, my co-host, is a musician over there as well. Jim, you start us off, my friend. I know you're super excited about this as well.
So a very fresh-faced lad of 16, I discovered you from the movie Strange Days. And it was you had a single that was called New Eyes of Old.
New Eyes of Old,
and that led me to Demonic. And I actually started with Demonic and went back. So
wow.
Yes, sir.
Like, wow, what happened to his voice?
Oh, no. That's the thing. So I had a friend. He was in a death metal band out of Northern Ireland called Mortification. And he was like, dude, you've never heard anything like this. And yeah, it was I think the one that he had shown me was the New Order. So
yeah,
talk about, like, you guys were already heavy. Where did you, it's like, well, everybody else is doing alternative. You guys went even heavier.
Well, that time was a strange time for us because I think we were experimenting with low on that record with songs like Dogface Gods and Low and stuff like that. And Dogface Gods was actually like the first song I sang all the way through a song using my heavier death or voice. And Eric enjoyed it and fans enjoyed it, but some fans didn't agree with it, like the old time Testament fans. But at that time is when Alex and Louis had left the band. You know, we were kind of
that's right.
Having a breakup, and the music was shifting the scene. And we knew we had a couple records left with the Atlantic left. What are we going to do? So we weren't in a good mood. And as we wrote Low, it just got a little harder and heavier because with Alex and Louis, we really got pressure from the label A&R to, like, you know, write us these singles and these radio friendly songs and stuff. And that's not who we were about. And so, you know, once things change and things got shuffled up, me and Eric were kind of, okay, well, here, we're only ones left standing here, you know, me, you, and Greg. Yeah. What are we going to do? You know, and shit's changing. Times are different, and got a little angry. And so that Low record started getting a little heavier and harder. And like that record hardly has any solos on it. It's all rhythm and heavy, you know?
Yeah.
And then so we went into that Demonic record, and Gene Hoglan came into the picture, and that changed everything. Gene came in a monster on the drums, and next you know,
Dark Angel, man.
We're writing these heavy, chuggy, tuned down shit. And I'm like, whoa, shit. And I even tried to like sing over it. I mean, literally, I tried to like do a different voice, and every time, like, no, it's not going to work. I go to the death stuff, like, that's it right there. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to stay that voice on this song and a lot of these songs, most of all of those songs. And it was something different and heavy in it, but it was right for where we're at the time in our career and our heads and everything. And it was definitely a shift of where we were going with the band, just telling ourselves, okay, we're not that A&R looking friendly radio song band. This is who we are, you know?
But that's what made it so cool.
It did. And you did mention the vocals there as well. And it has kind of, me and Jim were talking about how your vocals all through your career has remained strong, and every album you listen to and everything you release, Chuck, has been top quality. And you've also evolved with different albums significantly since the early days. So how do you manage to keep your voice in top shape going through this career that you've had over 30 years?
Routine. I'd say it's routine. I when I took my vocal training and coaching before I got into the band, I still use that same warm-up tape that I received, 40 years ago, and it's a mental thing for me now. If I don't, I warm this up with this tape for 90 minutes. Every time before any performance, I sing, I got to sing this. And if I don't do that, my head would say, "You're not ready to sing. You're not ready. You didn't warm up." So it's mental. I choose to do things different on tour. I don't drink and get drunk every night. I get my rest. I chose in the last, I don't know, maybe 4 years, 5 years, I quit smoking weed before I go on tour and on tour, which has really helped increase the stamina. So I'm always trying to stay away from people who are getting sick, so I'm always just constantly, when I'm on tour, try to be 100% and watching what I do. And really before a tour, a lot of practicing, or I ride a Peloton bike, or I just do things like that, try to build up my lungs, and so I'm fit mentally and try to get physically focused on being 100%. And it's been paying off, and I think it's like anything you do. If you go to the gym for 30 years, you're probably going to be a pretty strong guy, going through muscle memory and everything. It's kind of the same thing vocally. Over the years, I've known my limits, stretch my limits, and now I try to use all my limits, and that's kind of where I'm at.
And it's very clear in your performances too. I mean, it's like to hear, like I was watching you guys and Randy and the Boys and Lamb of God just absolutely crush festivals, and not a dent in the fender. Everything sounds incredible. It is it is do you still have the same, it's a stupid question, but when I asked it, do you have the same vigor playing, songs 30 years ago, that it's like, let's bring that back into the set list. Let's try it. I have a different outlook on it these days,
Well, we this summer and this last tour we just did the US, we did only the Legacy and New Order. So we did the first two records for the last, since June this year. Wow. So we're all right now, our heads in old school right now. Good. So we got the next show we leave for tour, start with Anthrax Crater next week, and that's going to be go back to the old, classic of everything set. But it's fun to go back to do those old ones, because we're not a band that goes, let's go down to the studio and let's just jam and drink beer. We're not those guys anymore. So when we play a tour, we got to say, okay, let's pick the songs. Everybody do your homework, and we'll see you for maybe 4 or 5 rehearsals before we start a tour. And that's kind of just the way it goes. So we don't get to just play around and play songs. So when we have the opportunity to play records in their entirety, we get to play those old songs that we know we're not going to get to do. So we were kind of sad ending this tour, like, oh, and we're never going to play some of these songs probably again in our lifetime. So it's great that we've got to go out and do it. There's a new generation of young fans that maybe are cool for them to get inspired and hear where we started and experience that, all them creation of those songs, and that was that era that was created. So that was kind of cool, talking to people that were like, it's cool, I had the records, but to see them for the first time, experience them live, it's pretty cool.
As you mentioned, reaching these younger fans as well too. Like, you did announce a partnership, I think, with Nuclear Blast, and re-releasing the first 6 albums, was it? And you've already got a few out as well. That must have been fun to kind of re-release that as well, and kind of reach these new fans, because you guys now, are like right up here in the thrash metal scene. You cannot talk about thrash metal without mentioning Testament. So it must have been fun to kind of come back and kind of revisit those times as well.
Well, that was the beauty of it, because after 35 years, every band out there gets to retain the rights to their music back.
Yep.
You just have to go through the legal process to get it. And we've done that. So we own the Legacy and the New Order in the US. And we just, in August, we just got back Practice What You Preach, which were remastered already. And that's going to be planned for coming out next. And then next October, we'll get Souls of Black, and then
Oh,
that'll go out. So eventually we'll
oh,
do a Practice What You Preach tour of just those songs. We'll do a Souls of Black tour of just those songs. And that'll be fun for us too, because we'll get to go back, live them, because those will be our promotional tools, because we're have them out on Nuclear Blast. Let's go play them and promote it. And so it's exciting news that we get to do that. And then we have to take a break for a few years to get the Ritual back. That'll probably be like 2 years later, and then we'll do that record. So we got some, things look forward to and lined up, and just keep writing new music.
that's fantastic. That's exciting to hear. Also, as a personal favorite, 7 Days of May is one
Hmm.
of the heaviest things I've ever heard in my life, and to hear you guys do that now, my God, what was that? What was 80? What was it? 1990
89.
with Souls of Black?
Souls of
89.
Black was 90. Yeah, Souls of Black was
Yep,
1990. Yeah, that song
that's.
kept us now from going to China ever again. That song.
Oh no,
Yeah, went to China once. We got there, and then the next time we tried to go back, they had a problem with 7 Days in May at Tiananmen Square.
Tiananmen
Uh,
Square. Yeah.
and so
Wow.
we couldn't cope because of that song. And now that song's kept us out of there ever since.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay. Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I was gonna say yeah, because I remember that record in particular because I remember the insane bass line, the Souls of Black.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, dear God. But even that whole record for its time too, very dense record. Like a lot of low end, a lot of power with
Yeah,
you
we were
guys.
looking for that. Once practice, it kind of had that feel, but the next one really
Yeah,
got a little thicker, maybe, but the songs were a little thicker, in a sense of writing of them.
1000%.
Um, yeah, just a different thing. But again, and I know everybody says, yeah, you rushed it. We put it out. We were putting out records every year at that point. So it wasn't
Yeah.
rushed again. We just had to finish it to get on that Judas Priest tour. I mean, that was the thing. They're like,
Wow.
Judas Priest wants to take you out, but you got to have the record ready to go. Like, say when, and so
Yeah.
come on, boys, let's get to work. We got to get this record done to get that tour, and we did. We got it done, got it out there, and bam, we were on the tour right away with Souls Black.
Yeah, nice. So the thrash metal scene, you've been a part of it since the 80s. What are your thoughts on the current state of the scene at the moment, mate?
Well, I don't know if it's a thrash metal scene anymore. I mean, there's a lot of bands inspired by that, but spawned off doing heavier stuff, and they're taking it to a next level vocally, a lot of more death style vocals with that fast, heavy, aggressive style, and speed of the drummers now these days, and the feet. And I could see it being inspired by a lot of the early stuff, but again, it takes full circle and inspires us, that been around doing it. So I think that's the beauty of, especially our new record. You'll probably hear in that sense the evolution and the full circle of influence when you hear it, because you're gonna go, wow, that's not a 38-year-old band, that this sounds, wow. Oh, what's Testament doing? So yeah.
Well, that's one thing that Testament has always been able to do, stay relevant and keep up with what is going on at the moment with the music industry, and just bringing out these great albums. Every single album you guys have brought out has been a fucking kick-ass album as well.
Amen. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I think I think we've now, at this stage in our life and career, we know not to stray away from being Testament. There's a lot of new bands and things getting in there, but we don't want to just go, okay, this is what's hot right now. Let's try to make a record or write songs like this. We don't never think like that, even though we're inspired and like what we're hearing, and go, wow, that's heavy as shit. Or man, listen to those vocals, or whatever, listen how fast those drums are. We're inspired, but we don't try to go, let's try to create and be that.
Mm.
So in the new records, you hear elements of stuff like, that and I'll probably attribute it to Chris being so young, just being the new generation, what he has grown up listening to.
Wow, that's I want to say, is it Contos that's with you
No,
now?
no, Chris
Chris
Dova.
Davis. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
That's right.
he was in a
That's
band
right.
called
That's right.
Seven Spires.
Seven Spires. That's right.
Yeah, he was with that band,
Awesome.
and that's a great band. And again,
Indeed.
that's something newer, which his style of that is kind of brought into the band, which is exciting and good for us.
That's cool.
I want to touch on a
That's awesome.
point as a fellow cancer survivor, Chuck. I know this is a bit of your personal issue,
Congrats.
man, but how did
Indeed.
that impact you and, that battle and your outlook on life going forward, especially with the band and the musical legacy that you've left?
Uh, Big time. It's a new life. When I was sick, I thought that was the end of my musical journey. Um, Knowing that you look in the mirror and you don't see the same person, you lost all your hair, you're not the same guy that yourself as singer of Testament. And I didn't listen to the band or really music. I was more focused on healing, get better, being with my family, friends, and just getting through it. And then when we had the benefit show, um, that was the first time me, Alex, Louie, and Greg ever got back on a stage, but actually been all in the same place together. And
Wow.
that kind of inspired, or maybe opened the door, I'll say, for the possibility of maybe let's jam again, and just the way things worked out, the guy Andre Verhusen from Dynamo Festival, who was our first trip out of the country, called me up and said, "Hey man, I got Anthrax, the original guys, to play the festival this year we're putting on. Could you get the original Testament?" And I'm like, "Whoa, I just seen those guys not too long ago. I can ask." And at the time I still hadn't played or done anything, where it was just the question asked. And I said, "Well, let me ask the guys," and everybody was in. And it was like, wow, okay, we're going to do this one show, which turned into like to 5, and then to 10, and then 3 months. And then it just kind of kept continuing on. And so for me, and it changed our dynamic of the perception of critics, fans, and everybody, what they thought about our songs and where they fit in the music genre world or whatever. That went out the window. We were kind of looking at it as, we're fortunate to have this time to jam live together, which turned into like 3 years. And at that point, we're like, "Hey, we've been jamming 3 years. What do you guys think about writing a record?" But at the end of that, Louis stepped down because his arthritis in his hands were getting bad, and we had to bring in somebody new, and that's and so again, that's kind of the way it unfolded. And went from that point on, it was, to me, a new testament, a new way we thought about writing music and creating our music, and found our niche to weave in everything we've tried and lived and been inspired by and just developed, I guess is the word. But most of all, starting to look at it as, you know what, I'm going to get to finish something that we all started together. That was kind of the thought, and don't care what anybody else thinks. How many bands get this opportunity? And that's what it was all about. And I think that's kind of the attitude we took from that point. And every song from that point on have had their own life and their own legs and their own stories. And I've learned now that I don't know what to expect when it comes to write a record. I don't know what's going to come out of Eric, what direction, where it's going to go, but I do know it's all going to be different, and it's going to be Testament.
It certainly is. And you recently announced that tour over here in Australia, June 2025, which I am super excited about. Look, I'm a huge Metallica fan, seen them 3 times, but I was more excited to see you guys coming back to Australia. I think last time you were here was, what, 2010?
2012.
12 is
12.
was that a
Wow.
headline tour though? Or was that just a
We came over for Soundwave.
yeah,
and
Soundwave,
some
dude?
off
Yeah.
shows.
I was there in Adelaide, dude. That was a killer show, dude. That was absolutely unreal. But I'm super excited to catch you guys as a headline because those festival shows are so much different. You play these big festival shows, you only got a certain amount of time, bang, bang, bang. But when you get in for a headline, you're able to, like as you say, play all these classics or put on a bit more of a show and have a little bit more of a connection with the fans at the shows as well.
We'll play longer sets for sure.
Yep.
I think the festival gives you maybe 50 minutes, something like that. And so now I imagine the show will probably be 90 minutes or more, So we get a lot of material time to play at these shows. And since it is only 5 shows, we'll probably play some long sets.
Yep. Yeah, I'm super keen, looking forward to it. So, how do you balance those demands of touring and then, like recording this new album as well, also with your personal life? Because I know what you've gone through, and also you've got to juggle all of that because you want to work, you want to drop stuff, leave a legacy, but you also want to spend time with family and then you want to tour as well. How do you manage to keep that fine line and juggle it all?
Well, for me, it's easy. Kids are grown up, out of the house. My wife now, she's been working for the band as like a personal assistant for at least 15 years. So she travels the world with us. And now she's actually for the last year been our tour manager and assistant. So she's the boss lady now. And she travels and takes care of business for everybody in the band and crew and everybody. So for us, it's the perfect thing. We are traveling the world together, working, playing music, come home, enjoy our time off together. And and after 37 years, we don't want to kill each other, and we still want to hang out. I think being apart would be weird. So.
Definitely would be. Jim, chuck something in there, my friend.
No, bro, thank you for coming on with us. This is a tremendous honor for Jai and myself, man. This is thank you for taking the time out of your schedule and talking to us half the world away, man.
Yeah, absolute bloody pleasure, mate. Also, not only for your career as a musician, but the way you held yourself through your battle as well as a fellow survivor, man. I looked up to people like you and how you handled yourself through that as well, and inspired me to keep working and pushing through and doing interviews all the way through, mate. So kudos to all the survivors out there. Do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you'd like to add in there, my friend?
Just that I'm looking forward to Australia. It's been a long time, but we've wrote a lot of music since then that we're excited to share and come play live, so it's going to be good. And, I love Australia so much, and I've missed it so much. I'm probably going to stay maybe an extra 4 days, maybe a week, just to hang out. I love going over to Sydney. Bondi Beach is one of my favorite stops, Gold Coast. Nice. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're all super excited. I've got a lot of muso friends who are super keen to see you, as a lot of other fans here in Australia really excited about this Testament tour. I'll be front row center. I'll catch up with you. I'll be snapping photos. Thank you so very much for joining us. Everybody get some Testament, chuck it in the stereos, crank it up really loud so the bloody neighbours can hear it. You can catch them all the way through June, starting in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, and then rounding out on Perth. Chuck, thank you so very much, my friend.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. You guys have a good one.
You too, mate. Cheers. Thank you.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jai, that Aussie metal guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.